Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. If you don't know me, my name's Jorn, and recently my wife Bonnie and I were at a church planters conference called the Timothy Initiative. And while we were there, there were individuals from Africa and Myanmar and India and a few other places. And at the end of the conference, they had these international leaders share their testimony and share about the persecution that they were facing in their own countries. It was pretty sobering as we listened to some very harsh stories of people being beaten for their faith and churches being burnt and, people just being completely maligned for who they were and ostracized from their communities because they chose to follow Jesus and to believe in Jesus. And I believe that as we look into what's happening around our world, we can lean into a place like Myanmar, which is a place that we love and we care about. We have lots of friends there, and they have so many stories of the trials and tribulations and what it means to be a committed follower of Jesus. There's a war going on there. There's a coup, and unfortunately, much of the dictatorship has focused on the Christian community, especially in the north. Most of our friends are from the Chin State, and recently there's been bombings, and whole cities have been burnt, and pastors have been executed outside of their churches because of their faith and because of trying to actually help the Chin people while the war is going on. So that's been quite sobering itself to hear these stories of what's happening there. My wife Bonnie and I, we support a church planter. His name is Samson. He's in a village about 8 hours from the Agape orphanage where we serve and bring a lot of people. And when he went to this Buddhist village, he immediately began to go house to house and share his faith. And immediately the Buddhists began to come to Jesus and begin to meet in his home. And he was planning on having a baptism. And during that time, the head elder of the village and also the head Buddhist priest came to his home, and they told him, "You're not going to baptize these people." And they threatened the villagers and told them that if they were going to get baptized, that they would actually be thrown out of the village. And they told him that he needed to stop actually preaching about Jesus. And then a few nights later, believe it or not, a cobra slipped inside their little hut that they had, and Samson, praise God, heard his wife screaming and was able to kill the cobra. And I just want you to know there's not very many cobras in Myanmar. And so, we just believe that, these type of stories are just part of what it means to live out your faith in a nation where they don't have the kind of freedoms that we do here. But I also want you to know that there's great things happening. In the last few years, over 200 Buddhists have been baptized. Many have come to Christ because of the initiatives that we have taken to support church planters and support our friends in Myanmar. And we're hearing great stories of people who have been preaching the gospel and their lives have been transformed because of the glory of God. And so we're just grateful for everything that we're seeing happening, even though we know that there's trouble, even though we know that people are suffering and Christians are losing even their lives at times. I think as we, consider our friends there in Myanmar, and not just there, but all around the world, it'd be great if once a week you would consider praying for the world, praying for the persecuted church, and praying for our friends in Myanmar especially. I mean, they're going through a lot. A lot of them barely have what they need, and yet because they believe and have a focus on who Jesus is, it's really created that grittiness that we've been talking about. And so we can agree with them that they can stay the course and to have that kind of grit that we all need to be followers of Jesus.